In a bombshell release of declassified documents, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has exposed the rotten core of Barack Obama's presidency, a calculated, deceitful campaign to fabricate Russian interference in the 2016 election. This wasn't mere incompetence from Obama and his cabal of sycophants in the national security apparatus. It was a brazen assault on democracy itself. Obama's team, including the likes of Susan Rice, John Kerry, and Loretta Lynch, along with intelligence hacks like James Clapper and John Brennan, appear to have twisted facts, suppressed truths, and peddled lies to undermine Donald Trump's legitimate victory. The intelligence community under Obama? A nest of partisan vipers who prioritized political sabotage over national security. Let's rewind to the raw intelligence before Obama's fingerprints smeared it all. In the run-up to the 2016 election, assessments from across the board, the CIA, FBI, NSA, DHS, and more, flatly concluded that Russia hadn't meddled in a way that swayed results. A presidential daily brief, dated December 8, 2016, compiled with input from every major agency, stated unequivocally. This wasn't some fringe opinion. It echoed DNI James Clapper's own talking points from the day before, insisting foreign adversaries hadn't executed cyber attacks that altered outcomes. The presidential daily briefing detailed minor incursions, like a compromised Illinois voter database, surprise, surprise, and failed attempts elsewhere, but deemed it highly unlikely that these could flip any state's votes. The Russian efforts? Merely psychological ops to sow doubt, not game changers. Cybercriminals tried data theft and disruption, but achieved nothing in terms of real impact. This was the unvarnished truth from Obama's own intelligence machine, until the boss decided it didn't fit his anti-Trump agenda. Enter the smoky back room, Chicago-style corruption. The FBI, ever the eager lapdog under Obama's influence, threw a tantrum over the presidential daily briefing's conclusions, drafting a dissent and stalling its release. Originally slated for December 9th, it got buried under new guidance. That very day, a sinister White House Situation Room huddle convened, attended by the worst offenders, Clapper, Brennan, Rice, Kerry, Lynch, and Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe, among others. This wasn't a strategy session. It was a conspiracy factory. They plotted sanctions on Russian officials, but more damningly, Obama himself demanded a fresh intelligence assessment, one laser-focused on Russia's supposed tools and tactics to influence the election. What followed was a grotesque narrative flip. Public statements from Obama's minions suddenly screamed Russian interference, ignoring prior findings that emphasized mere attempts without success. By January 6, 2017, the intelligence community assessment dropped like a propaganda bomb, claiming Russia not only interfered but did so explicitly to boost Trump. This was pure fiction, contradicting the December presidential daily briefing's no-impact verdict. The intelligence community assessment even lied by omission, pretending the community made no assessment on efforts while burying early absolutions. Worse, the intelligence community assessment was riddled with politicization. Dissenting views? Suppressed. The FBI and NSA's low confidence in attributing DNC leaks to Russia? Ignored. And the cherry on the corrupt sundae? The inclusion of the Steele Dossier, a pile of salacious garbage dismissed by the CIA as internet rumor. Yet Brennan, Obama loyalist extraordinaire, rammed it in, despite its unreliability. This wasn't intelligence. It was weaponized disinformation, courtesy of Obama's neo-Marxist echo chamber. Tulsi Gabbard, in a rare display of spine from a director of national intelligence, called it what it is, a treasonous conspiracy by top officials to subvert the American people's will.
Thank you so much, and thanks for focusing on this issue that these documents have really brought to the forefront, because it's one that doesn't just affect Democrats or Republicans. It's not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an issue with such significant impact that it should concern every American, because it has to do with the fabric and integrity of our democratic republic. That we had a situation here where in the months leading up to the 2016 election, the intelligence community assessed, and this is what the documents detail, the intelligence community assessed essentially Russia doesn't have the tools, the capability, or the intent to try to change the outcome of the U.S. presidential election. Donald Trump pulls off a historic victory against Hillary Clinton in November of 2016. Even in the days after that election, the intelligence community continued their consistent assessment that reflected the same thing in the months leading up to the election. All of a sudden, in the early days of December, there was a president's daily brief that was drafted. This is put together by the different elements of the intelligence community that reflected that same assessment. Russia did not try to hack the election, in essence. That PDB, that document, was pulled hours before it was supposed to be published for the president to see that following morning. That document was never published until we released it yesterday. One day later, President Obama calls a meeting of his National Security Council, his top officials, to be held on what they called a sensitive topic. And the results of that meeting, which we released yesterday, and these over 100 documents that talk about in detail how President Obama and his team, he directed a manufactured piece of intelligence that detailed not if, but how Russia tried to influence the outcome of the United States election that President Trump won in November of 2016. This document was then used as the foundation for everything that came next. It was essentially a years-long coup that was launched against President Trump before he even had the opportunity to take his oath of office and be sworn in as President of the United States. So, as you know, there was a Mueller investigation that went on for years, cost taxpayers nearly $40 million. There were 2 congressional impeachments. President Trump and almost every member of his family were smeared and attacked, faced lawsuits, depositions. High-level officials were investigated. Some were arrested and put in jail. The list goes on and on about the ramifications of this, but foundational to it all was the fact that we had in President Obama and his leadership team, people who did not want to accept the will of the American people in electing Donald Trump in 2016, and therefore cooked up this treasonous conspiracy to, again, try to effectively, and they did effectively, launch a years-long coup against the sitting president of the United States. The seriousness of, again, the implications and the consequences of these actions that were taken demand accountability. The American people not only deserve the truth and accountability, when we look at the future of our country as a democratic republic and the American people's ability to have faith that when they go and cast a vote at the ballot box, that the will of the people will be respected by those in government, whether they be Democrats or Republicans, this is literally what is at stake here. So we are referring all of our documents to the Department of Justice for the purpose of accountability and action. No one, no matter who they are, no matter how high up they are or how powerful they may be, no matter who the intelligence officials or professionals were who were a part of this treasonous conspiracy, there must be accountability. The truth must be shown to the American people in order to ensure that there is this faith and trust and integrity in our democratic republic for the sake of the future of our country. In this case, again, what these documents detail, to me, in my view, cannot be explained as anything but a treasonous conspiracy. Implications of manufactured intelligence are real. I would even say that what we are seeing here has an even greater impact than what we've seen in the past, because it speaks again to the foundation of our Constitution and our democratic republic, which is why accountability is so critical.
Gabbard nails it. This transcends partisanship. It's an attack on our own republic's foundations. Obama and his cronies rejected the Constitution, abusing power to cling to influence post-election. The fallout? Criminal probes into Brennan and Comey, sparked by referrals from ex-CIA Director John Radcliffe. Brennan's push for the bogus dossier fueled the FBI's witch hunt and tainted FISA warrants against Trump aide Carter Page. Now under FBI Director Kash Patel, these criminals face serious scrutiny. Former President Trump minced no words.
I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that.
Obama's regime ditched honest intel for a manufactured crisis, birthing the Mueller farce, 2 sham impeachments, wrongful prosecutions, jailed innocents, escalated Russia tensions, and eroded faith in elections. This wasn't oversight. It was deliberate treachery from a president who viewed himself as above the law, aided by a complicit intelligence community that morphed into a deep state Gestapo. Accountability isn't optional. It's imperative. We must charge and then prosecute Obama, his enablers, and every last conspirator. America's survival depends on it. In the end, the only push to redemption for our fractured republic lies in the swift and unrelenting prosecution of Barack Obama, his scheming inner circle, including the likes of Brennan, Clapper, Rice, and Comey, and the entire corrupt intelligence apparatus that executed this treasonous farce. Failing to hold these elitist plotters accountable would not only embolden future deep state machinations, but also irreparably shatter the American people's faith in justice, allowing shadows of authoritarianism to eclipse our constitutional freedoms forever. True patriotism demands we drag these traitors into the light of the courtroom, exposing their crimes to restore the rule of law, and ensure no president, no bureaucrat ever again dares to weaponize power against the will of the electorate.